Hi, how are you? My name is Arit. Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like, comment and share this video. The topic we're looking at today is how to write a CV. Now your CV, or which is short for curriculum vitae, or your resume, is your quick introduction to an employer. It contains your employment history to date. Now your CV is generally the first impression a potential employer will get of you, so it's super important that you get it right. Now this video is going to take a slightly different format for what I usually do because I want it to be as practical as possible. So I'm going to move out of the way, and instead you're going to see a job description along with two CVs, one that's all right and then another that I pimped up a bit to give you an example of what you should be including in your CV. Anyway, I'm going to move out of the way so we can get on with it.
So what you have on your screen right now is a job description for a digital marketing assistant. The role is with a TV production company who produce hours of factual entertainment and scripted reality shows for an audience that are aged around 16 to 34. Obviously, you can see the name says Arit Productions. I have changed the name for the purpose of this video. Now, in the first instance, we're going to go through. It's always good to go through the job description, making notes as to what you need to ensure you include in your CV. So the job purpose, well, that's quite self-explanatory because we're just talking about the digital marketing department and its role within the business. Roles and responsibilities are core parts of the job for the digital marketing assistant, and they're broken into 4 categories. So creative, for example, part of the role is going to be to create and maintain content. So highlight that, and then there's looking at how you distribute that content, and then there's looking at with contributing to idea generation. So on your notepad, you want to write down what content you've created, where you've distributed that, particularly the social media platforms that you've used. You want to give examples of when you've contributed ideas to a project, whether that's creatively based or not. The second part, brand activity, again, it says to become a brand expert for TV programs. They expect you to learn about the needs and motivations of the different audiences and to help produce branded content for their commercial partners. So in order for you to understand who their brand is, it's super important that you research the company, you watch their TV programs, you look at their Twitter and other social sites to see what their audience are saying, what they're commenting on about those programs, and how the company is responding to the programs. And then you want to do some research on the talent, as in the actors, to see if they are maybe promoting any hair care brands, any makeup brands, any sportswear. And if not, then you might want to think about what commercial partners within the fashion and retail sector could actually be good for this company to work for. Now, delivery, this is quite straightforward. It's just a list of things that you need to demonstrate some experience in. I wouldn't worry about having to have had experience in everything. So the trick is to focus on maybe two, the core experiences that you have. And then the second part is to think about your transferable skills. So you might already have some writing experience, and in that sense you want to make a note on your notepad to include examples of your work, but you might not have had any research experience within the creative capacity. However, if you've ever gone to university, researched a house, planned a wedding, or you have organize a stag do, for example, you have some research skills because you've looked at locations, you've looked at costs, you've looked at cheaper deals, possibly looked at TripAdvisor, for example, for feedback from other people who've been to your holiday destination. So they're all transferable skills. Now, moving on to the required skills and experience. And again, this is about you having to demonstrate in your CV that you are competent in these areas. So in your notepad, write down a note of your IT skills. You've got to show that you are interested in TV and you watch television. Particularly, they are telling you that they want to see evidence of you watching productions that they have made, and you want to demonstrate your writing. Now it says ideally for a youth audience, so if you haven't written for a youth audience, then you might want to showcase 2 different examples of your writing for 2 different audiences to show that you are able to adapt your style to whoever it is you're speaking to. So I recommend you do this with every job description that you come across, so you know what is required of you. So next we're going to move on to the CVs. So I have 2 here. CV sample 1 on your left is a CV that we actually got for this role. It's quite generic, and it is and why I picked this one is because it makes some of the common mistakes that people make when submitting their CV. Now if you see yourself in this CV, don't panic. It doesn't matter. It's okay. By the end of the video you will be super experienced in writing CV, so don't worry about it. Right, so when you introduce yourself to your employer, then you want to keep your information quite straightforward. So you just need to know your name, your telephone number, and your email address. That's it. I wouldn't encourage you to include a photograph, say for example, because you know we all are subject to unconscious bias, and somebody might see your picture and think, not sure about this person, and it might impact the way they view the rest of your application. And keep it, like I say, to 2 pages. So the CV on your, let me just move that along a bit. The CV on your left, so in the personal profile, this personal profile I feel is just too much jargon and too many stock phrases. So for example, the first sentence in itself doesn't really tell me anything about their skills and experience. It's just jargon. Having great communication skills, that's what I call a stock phrase. Same with have great customer service, another stock phrase. Excellent attention to detail, never a good thing to put in a CV because invariably there will be a mistake. And I can see from your CV itself whether you have excellent attention to detail. And there is a mistake in the opening of this sentence here. And you can write what that mistake is in the comment box if you can see it. Now, contrary to the CV2, which is one that I pimped up, in that sense, the personal profile is they've been very strategic with what you put in the personal profile, and it relates specifically to the job in question, specifically to digital marketing, talking about being active on Facebook and Twitter and the number of audience members that they have. They've given examples of their work, and they've told us quite clearly here that they know our company. So 2 different approaches to the personal profile. Moving on, so next we've got one CV focuses on the education and skill side, where the other goes straight into career to date. Now I prefer career to date because I want to know what you've done, not what you were taught to do. So you might call it career to date, or you might just call it work experience. Let me just move this along a bit so you can see both of them. Move that along. There we go. Right, so on the left hand side, now what I did with the CV that I pimped up, which is CV on your right, is I tried to mirror the experiences but just showed that experience in a different way. So they've both had some marketing experience. However, the CV on your right has gone into much more detail on what that experience is. I can see that they're proactive because they've set up their own social media channels. I can see that they monitor their social media activity because they tell me how many views they have on social media. I can see that they use IT skills and they have good organizational skills because they're telling me that they show me that they develop a weekly content strategy using Microsoft Office. Also, this person has experience developing brand partnerships because they're referencing the social media influencers that they've worked with. I also know that they're in keeping with youth culture because of the publications that they reference in their as part of their research. Now, contrary to that one, if I go over to the CV on your left, there's not a lot of detail. Using words like responsible for, generally it's quite an uninspiring word, responsible, because being responsible for something doesn't describe what you did. It's quite a passive term that describes something happened to you. what you want to do, which is what is much more attractive to the employer, is what you see on your right hand side, which is quantitative figures which back up anything else that they've written. Now, another thing to say about the experience is that the experience here as a freelancer, it's not with an employer, but that doesn't matter. So if you're doing things in your hobbies and interests that actually relate to the job, then, or you've got like a little, you may manage a band or run be quite active in your church, for example, then it's fine to use those in your employment section and draw out those key aspects that relate to the role in question. Now, the showing, which is what CV2 does, and the telling is what CV sample 1 does on your left-hand side, follows throughout the CV. Now, if I go to, say, for example, their retail experiences, again, I'll show you another example of showing and telling. So in this, on your CV to your left, there's quite a lot of information about what they did on the job, again, using the word responsibilities. But when you get to the CV on your right, I can see tangible results. I can see that they had very good customer working relationships because they overachieved their sales targets and they made £1,000 per day. So that's the kind of information that you're looking, real tangible data. IT skills, again, we're being told about IT skills in CV on your left, when, as I pointed out earlier, the CV on your right shows us those IT skills rather in practice. So you've got your Microsoft Office there. You've also got your Final Cut Pro here when it comes to editing videos, and you've also got Photoshop and Adobe InDesign. Different ways of showcasing your experience. Now, just moving on to hobbies and interests. This is actually, before I move on to hobbies and interests, if you've got a gap in your CV, what I've did here is make use of that gap as in just refer again those skills over to the job. So at times, sometimes people put that they've just been traveling. Here, tell me what you did in terms of organizing your travel abroad, because that tells me a lot about your character. Now, just quickly moving on to hobbies and interests, this is the part of your CV where you get to inject a bit of your personality. So say, for example, here, this, rather than kind of write, I like to do fitness, I'm into my fitness, then you've got a bit of quirkiness here. I enjoy running, but so I can eat chocolate. So it literally, because you've only got 2 pages to introduce yourself, and it doesn't have to be bland. Don't forget yourself, to keep yourself in the picture when you're writing your CV. So just quickly to recap, you want to keep away from jargon and cliches that really don't showcase your skills. You want to include as many statistics as you can and evidence your work. Number 3 is to keep it to 2 pages. Number 4 is to inject your personality. Now, I'm just going to quickly pull up the job description again, because I think before you hit send on any application, it's good to run your CV past the original job description to make sure you've met all the requirements. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can see it. So we can see they wanted you to talk about the content by putting links into your CV. Automatically, they'll be able to see the content that you create. They also wanted you to show that you demonstrate interest in their TV programs and in TV in general. We've got that there, and we have captured it again here when we talk about the programs. You talk a lot in the CV about the different social media platforms. We talk a lot. We've got reference here to taking photographs for the blog, which ties in with photography skills listed here. So ultimately, you want to do that once you've completed your CV, so that you are ensuring that what you have produced is in line with what the employer requires. Now, anyway, I hope you found that useful, and you feel free to share this video with your colleagues and your friends. And if you have any questions at all around pulling together a CV or just general interview and career advice, feel free to send those comments to me via YouTube or email, and I will be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.